A single document changed the entire narrative, and it had been sitting there the whole time, ignored, dismissed, almost invisible. For weeks, the story moved on confidence and memory alone. Then one receipt surfaced, then another, and suddenly what sounded convincing began to wobble. Everyone thought this would be another loud exchange, another battle of voices where whoever spoke last sounded right. But this time, something different happened. Instead of raising her voice, ADv Tembeka lowered it. Instead of repeating claims, she opened files. And in that quiet moment, the room shifted. Before anything else could be said, one question hovered over everything. How do you argue with proof you said didn't exist? The promise here isn't drama for drama's sake. It's the slow, undeniable unraveling of a story when evidence starts talking back. Think about it for a second. If memory and paperwork collide, which one survives under pressure? Most people decide emotionally. Today's story forces a different choice. The exchange didn't begin with an attack. It began with patience. ADv Tembeka let the claims stand on their own, almost as if she wanted them fully heard before responding. That's what made what followed so powerful. Words were met with dates. Accusations were met with signatures. Confidence was met with files. What stunned observers wasn't just that she had receipts, it was how ordinary they were. Emails, records, timelines. The kind of things people forget about because they seem boring. Yet those boring details quietly dismantled a narrative built on selective memory. There's a particular tension when someone insists they never said something, never received something, never agreed to something, and a document calmly says otherwise. No shouting, no insults, just ink and timestamps doing the work. As the receipts stacked up, the tone changed. Explanations became longer, pauses stretched. The certainty that opened the exchange began to drain away. You could feel it not as chaos but as control slipping. ADv Tembeka didn't rush. She moved step by step, letting each piece of evidence land before introducing the next. It felt less like an argument and more like a guided tour through the past, one page at a time. What made this moment hit harder was that none of it looked improvised. This wasn't reaction. It was preparation revealing itself. Every claim had a corresponding document, and every document had context. At some point, the idea of forgetting stopped sounding believable. Not because people don't forget, but because forgetting rarely lines up so neatly against records. Patterns began to emerge, and patterns are hard to explain away. By the time the midpoint arrived, the question was no longer who was telling the truth. It was how long the truth had been waiting. Receipts don't interrupt. They wait patiently for their turn. As the discussion moved forward, a new layer appeared: timelines. Dates that didn't match stories. Sequences that contradicted explanations. One event placed before another changed everything that followed. There's something uniquely powerful about a timeline because it removes emotion. It shows what happened first, what followed, and what couldn't possibly be true as a result. In this case, the timeline quietly did what arguments couldn't. Each attempt to reframe the story ran into another document. Each effort to soften the claims met a hard edge of record-keeping. The room didn't erupt, it settled. Observers began noticing the contrast. One side relied on recollection, the other relied on archives, and archives don't get tired, nervous, or defensive. What looked like confidence at the start now looked like overreach. What looked like silence now looked like restraint. The balance had fully shifted, not through aggression, but through consistency. By the time the final receipts were introduced, there was very little left to contest. Not because every question was answered, but because the foundation of the original story had collapsed.